hope you guys are all doing well and doing great during this quarantine. I know things are starting to slowly open back up, but they are not fully there yet. So I hope that everybody is just mentally doing great and just being as positive as possible. If you're new to my channel, then make sure you subscribe, like, and turn on your post notifications so you know when I upload a new video. This channel is all about going through life struggles with positivity and coming out on top, as well as me just bringing you into my life and show you the life that I have created and being a mommy. It's been a while since I've done a story time for you guys, and so now that I am doing continuous videos and I'm trying to post Monday through Friday, taking the weekends off, I wanted to come on here and share another story with you guys. And I will be talking to all of you about how I became homeless and living out of my car. Some of you may have not watched my story video, which is the main video on my channel, which talks about a little bit from my past. And if you haven't, that's totally okay. I'll link it down below, but I'll kind of give you an idea of where I came from. When I was just 7 years old, I was put into a foster home because my mom was heavily on drugs and my father was an alcoholic. They were separated and just neither of them were capable of being a steady parent for me, and I eventually got placed into a family home, which was my great aunt on my mom's side. And that is where my happy beginnings were supposed to start. Coming out of the foster home, of course, it took a lot of adjusting with starting a new school, being around new people. I was a very shy person. I wasn't used to eating meals or just having much food, and so I had to learn to do almost the basic things again after you know, being taken away from my mom. And so I had this whole beginning in front of me, and this childhood was supposed to be just so perfect. You think when a child goes into foster home and CPS is involved that it's all for the better and things are supposed to just go fantastic for that child after they are taken out of a bad environment. And I think that is where a lot of people were very hopeful for my brother and I after we were put into a foster home and then relocated into my great aunt's house, thinking that, you know, the worst is basically over. But unfortunately, that wasn't the case. I had a few amazing years living at my aunt's house, and it was just a fun period of time in my childhood. I remember, you know, getting scooters, going rollerblading, you know, having simple birthday parties, celebrating holidays to the fullest. And I just remember going on small trips to like Six Flags and things like that. And it was a great period in my childhood and something today that I truly do treasure. So you're probably wondering, how does someone who is supposed to be put into proper care end up homeless? And this is where the story kind of changes. That happy childhood that was momentarily shifted into something so negative that it impacted a great chunk of my growing up and my early adulthood. So my great aunt that was raising me at the time, she had a daughter that was in jail during the period of times that my childhood was decent. And her daughter got out of jail and she moved into the house that both my aunt and I were in. Would have been perfectly fine if she was not a drug addict herself. I was around 14 years old when she moved into our house, And granted, this is a period of time in a teenager's life where they are very influenced by their environment. I made a few bad choices during this period of time from 14 to 18 years old, and thankfully that did not impact the reason why I became homeless. But that is another story time, or maybe you guys could just read my book and see what happened during that time. Anyways, her daughter, which is my second cousin, I called her my aunt as well because she was that much older than me, moved into the house. She was a drug addict, and she started selling drugs in and out of her bedroom window and just the entire house. And her bedroom was located next to my room, and so she constantly had these people over at their house, and they were just doing legal drugs. After my period of just being a rebellious teenager a little bit, I really wanted to focus on bettering myself. I was 17 years old, and I just got a job, and I was working at the Boys and Girls Club. I started to take my future very seriously after high school. I went to a local community college, and I still had my job. I was excelling at my career, and I was just really trying to get better in life. And I was recognizing that the environment that I was living in was just not okay. It was not compatible with the life that I was trying to live. My aunt's daughter, who was selling drugs out of the house, she would constantly have fights, and oftentimes the police were at our home maybe once or twice a week because of these fights. I mean, they got very physical. She had a new boyfriend quite frequently, or she just had a bad reputation with the people that would come by and that would buy drugs from her. And so it was just a chaotic mess living in this household, and it was such a struggle for somebody that was actually trying to better their life. And it sucked. I felt so uncomfortable. I'd come home, you know, after working all day or school, and she would have some random guy in the house, and he would just be staring at me, making me feel very uncomfortable, and I didn't like that feeling. The problems escalated when she started to steal things from me. I had worked my butt off to get myself a computer, and my computer got stolen. And then I worked my butt off some more, and I bought myself a car. And then my car got broken into, and my stereo was stolen out of my car, and then my iPod was stolen out of my car, and then my special jewelry ended up being stolen from my bedroom. And this was jewelry that I had gotten from my grandma, and these were very special items to me, and they were just taken away from me, to the point that I was just getting so frustrated because I had bought my second iPod, my second computer. I was working so hard, and these things were just being taken away from me, and I just felt like I was really getting a major setback. I bought multiple items, you know, electronics and the computer and the iPods, and they just kept being stolen. It was an ongoing fight between me and my aunt when I would try to confront her and tell her that her daughter was doing these things. She was selling drugs out of the house. She was having random guys over at the house. She was prostituting herself. She was doing multiple things that just was so harmful to both me and my aunt. And her reply would constantly be like, I know, Nicole, I know she's doing those things. And one remark that I even hold with me today, because it was very hurtful, was that she constantly told me that, you know, at the end of the day, that's her daughter, and by blood, I'm not. And so that kind of made me feel like she didn't really care. You know, once I turned 18, maybe she didn't care that I was around because she stopped getting paid by the government because I wasn't a ward of the court, and she was getting paid to raise me. And so I felt very very frustrated and very angry that these things were happening. Specific time, I remember coming home and I saw my aunt's daughter with my toothbrush, like scrubbing the floor with my toothbrush. And that may not sound like, oh, not a terrible thing, it was an accident, but these are things that she was doing purposely just to irritate me. I think that she wanted me out of the house, and it may just sound like a simple thing, but honestly that was just the tipping point, because she had done all these other things. She had taken so many things that I've worked hard for away from me, even like simple things like I got a brand new bedspread one day, and I came home and I went outside in the backyard, and her tweaker friends were sitting on the grass with my brand new bedspread that I literally just bought. The household that was supposed to be my safe place after getting taken away from my mom ended up becoming this horrible drug house and just this negative environment, and it was so stressful for me. I was working hard trying to finish my homework, and I would just be woken up by screaming and yelling and just her just cussing, and it just was not a safe environment. I mean, I was in my bedroom trying to get finals done, trying to write essays, and the police would be out in my living room and then constantly knock on my door and be like, do you know anything about this? Do you know anything about that? And one scenario, I was in my bedroom, I was working on my homework after work, and I'm in college, and then I hear my aunt's daughter threaten her. And you have to realize that my aunt that helped raise me, she's an elderly woman, and I absolutely do not stand for elder abuse, especially directed towards somebody that has basically been my only mother figure. And so I got up and I went out and I said, you know, if you want to pick on somebody, why don't you pick on me? And I was very protective, and that's just me. I'm very protective of my family. I may be little, and I think people like to take advantage of little people, to be honest, but I can get feisty when I need to be, and I'm a very nice person too. So it's like I'm a mix of both, and I'm feisty when I need to be, and that's exactly what happened. I said, you want to mess with me? I'm right here. You do not pick on an elderly person, especially your mother who's letting you live here for free. And she started screaming at me and she pushed me. So then I pushed her back, and pretty hard, and things may have gotten a little bit out of hand, and then I called police to come and get her. Anyways, I ended up getting a restraining order from her, or for her, and I thought life was gonna be so much better. Well, that did not happen. My great aunt, which was her mom, allowed her to come back into the house after she bailed her out of jail. So it was my breaking point. It was just terrible. I felt like nobody cared about the things that were going on in the household, and I had to make the decision to pick up my stuff and leave. The people I was close with during that time lived in the Bay Area, which was 2.5 hours away from where I currently was, and I really couldn't just pack up my things and move down there. And so I needed to find a solution, because I had this great job that I was excelling at, and I didn't want to just up and leave that, because it was all that I really had at that time, and I was in the middle of my semester in college, and so I didn't want to have this negative stuff that was a huge part of my life impact what I was really trying to do for myself. And so I did what I could do, and I packed a few things, and I started living out of my car. I would go and I would park my car in the parking lot at my job, and that's where I'd stay, or I'd drive, and I would get to my school early in the morning, and I would take showers there, and it was a crappy thing. My job at the Boys and Girls Club, they always had snacks, they always had food for staff, and so I'd stock up on things from there, and it just was just a rough period of time in my life. But I think about it now, and I still would have made the decision to leave the household that I was in and live in my car. And I had lived in my car for probably maybe a month and a half to 2 months before my boss noticed that I had no place to go. And she was the kindest boss. She set me to the side and she brought up what she had noticed, and I told her what happened. I said, I'm working my butt off trying to be a better person, trying to do these things. I mean, I don't have parents, I don't have this and that, I just don't have that type of support behind me, and I'm trying to do these things because I don't want to fall in the statistics and just like fail in life, and I want to do what I can to just be better. And I just had to get out of that house, and she understood, and she did something that really just, I guess it was life-changing, and it shows you that there's humanity in this world. And I just wish that I could pay her back in some way even today, because to do something like what she did is just, it's just so out of normal human nature. So she tells me that she has a mini fridge in her office, and she has some cots that she has in the back, because our location actually used to be a building that was for the military, and so they had all these things there. And then she gave me the keys to her office, and she said, stay here as long as you need to, and she gave me the security number and everything for the business. And she would drop off food to me, she would make sure that I was fed, and then there were showers on site too, so that was really nice. And then it was just so nice to just be there. I'd be able to shower, I'd be able to eat, I'd be able to sleep, and then just get ready, and then I'd be at work already. And so that was really cool. I wanted to share this story because I think a lot of people have this mindset that people that become homeless is, I don't know, is negative. And I totally understand that. There's some people out there that take advantage of others, and they do make horrible choices, and that's how they end up there. But that's not everybody. And this is just an example. I was a good person, I was trying to better my life, and I just did not have the support to do these things. I mean, I was a young adult, still newly young adult, I mean, barely not even a teenager. I mean, there's no way that I could get a place myself. I didn't have credit, and I didn't have the funds to support myself. And so I think that sharing this story is important, because maybe it gives you like a different outlook, and maybe, you know, you don't judge so hard on those that are sitting on the side of the road, because maybe they just haven't gotten their break, you know? And it was just a really tough time in my life. I was so torn, because it's like I felt like that was my home with my great aunt. But then every time I'd go and I'd talk to her about these things and how they hurt me and how it affects my life negatively, it was like I came second, or I didn't matter. And I think that those feelings are the feelings that I hold on to from that situation. But I have to remember that at the end of the day, her daughter was her daughter. I was just somebody coming into her house. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I think the hardest part about living out of my car was the embarrassment. I mean, I didn't have a lot of people that came around me, but I was dating Robbie, which is my husband now, and it's something that I really kept from him. And so he would come up on the weekends and visit me, and we would just get a place to stay. Like we would go to a hotel or something. He was older than me, and so it wasn't something that he was too aware of, and it's something that I felt embarrassed about, because it was like, you know, why do you have a messy car and stuff like that. And it was just a tough time, you guys. And I think about it now, and I look at me now, and I just got a brand new freaking bed frame. I'm stoked about that. It's my first bed frame I've really ever bought brand new. And I'm older, but the point is that I'm still growing as a person. I'm still creating the life that I want, and I'm way past that environment, and that makes me so happy that I'm creating a happy childhood environment that I hope lasts until my children are in their early adulthood. So I guess that's the positive things, you know, you see things, you learn, and yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys really like me sharing a lot of stories from my past, then go ahead and like this video to let me know. I will have a lot more details about living through this and everything that I went through in my book, of course, and so stay tuned for that. But other than those things, I hope you guys have an awesome rest of your day. I hope you guys are remaining positive and know that we are all warriors in this crazy life. And if I can get through it, you guys can definitely get through it. Okay, bye.
All my life was a fight. Tell me what's wrong when nothing's ever been right. I was abandoned, alone in the night. There was no darkness cause I'd never seen light. Put the past behind me. If I do fall, I'm gonna get up, defy these odds. I won't give up cause I'm too strong. I said I won't give up cause I'm too strong. Nah.